Former Colombo Divisional Magistrate Thilina Kamage released on bail after surrendering to court.
Government to introduce a new economic plan in the next 2 weeks.
Price of a 50-kilogram bag of cement increases by 60 rupees.
Information comes to light that 15 students of a single school were buried alive in the Arunachal landslide a fortnight ago.
A very good evening to you. You're watching Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo with me, Florian Rajendran.
Hello there, very good evening. I'm Joel Outschool. We start off with a look at some local news first.
President Maithripala Sirisena says that systematic steps will be taken to resolve issues in the university sector.
The 2015 convocation of the Uvavalasa University was held at the BMICH today. The President awarded degrees to 52 graduates at the convocation. As a government, we very clearly see the need to modernize the country's policy on education and vision generated through the free education system. As far as I know, year after year, every government took steps to strengthen the free education system in the country. Steps have also been taken through years to mitigate the shortcomings of higher education through the allocation of resources. Irrespective of the scrutiny and criticism that has been leveled at our country's free education policy, our program and its active management, the students have better advantages in terms of facilities and resources compared to developed nations in the world. I strongly believe that it is imperative that we study and assess the shortcomings and issues within the education system and work patiently and peacefully to resolve them. President Maithripala Sirisena was presented a memento by the Chancellor of the Uvavalasa University, Venerable Bengamuwe Dhammadinathera.
And on to a story that made it to the headlines this evening. Former Colombo Divisional Magistrate Thilina Kamage, who surrendered to court earlier this afternoon, was released on bail. The former Divisional Magistrate was granted bail when he presented himself before the Nugegoda Magistrates Court today.
Nugegoda Chief Magistrate and Additional District Judge Kanishka Vijayratna ordered the Criminal Investigations Department yesterday to arrest Thilina Kamage in connection with the possession of an elephant calf without a permit. Following the order, former Colombo Additional Magistrate Thilina Kamage surrendered to the Nugegoda Magistrates Court this afternoon. Even though court had, on a previous occasion, ordered that Thilina Kamage provide a statement regarding the matter, it had not been complied with. Thereafter, notice was issued for Kamage to appear before court on the 18th of last month. The case is to be taken up once again on the 6th of June. Meanwhile, Ambalipitia ASP DWC Dharmaratna, who had been arrested over the incident where a youth died as a result of an alleged clash with police at a function in Ambalipitia recently, was released on bail this morning. Bail was granted when the case filed over the incident was taken up before Ratnapura Provincial High Court Judge Kumari M. Abiratna. Accordingly, the Ambalipitia ASP was imposed a 25,000 rupee cash bail and two sureties of 500,000 rupees each. Court ordered the suspect to refrain from intimidating witnesses and to ensure that he presents himself for all investigations. The suspect was also ordered to surrender his passport to court.
What was once a village has now turned into a body of water. This is a Newsfirst special report.
අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඊළඟ අතරදී මේක මෙතනින් ඔටි ගලන් ඔය යනවා. යන ගිහලා තව ගෙවල් තියෙන පල්ලෙ ගෙවලු ගලන් ඔය දෙදුරු කෙනිලා යනවා. මේක අනිවාර්යයෙන් අපිට මේ දදුරුව මිසක් ඊට පස්සේ ගමක් නැතු යනවා.
We came to Arigama in Chilao to report for the second time about a village that became a river. 3 months before we travelled in the same area over a solid land. However, today this land has been devoured by the Daduroya, making the predictions of the area residents into a reality.
The proof of the terror of the Daduroya can be seen by looking at the condition of Mr. Stanley's house.
Can you see the bamboo shoots far in the distance? That is where the boundary of my property used to be. Now the river has broken its banks. A part of my kitchen has been destroyed.
Like Stanley, many of the villagers who made a living through farming walk along the banks of the Daduru Oya, reminiscing about their precious lands that are now part of the Oya.
I raised 2 children through my agricultural activities. One is in university, while the other is on the verge of passing out from university. Now I have lost everything. 25 to 30 coconut trees have been lost to the Daduru Oya. Back then we asked the authorities to look into this situation. If they took steps, the situation would be different today. I told that this would happen, but now there is no one to tell it to, no one to admit it either. Not a single official came to this area. I won't mention names, but I travelled to Colombo on 7 separate occasions to meet a certain minister. I spent my own money and didn't get any results.
The villagers claim that this situation has arisen because of the improper management of water of the Daduru Oya reservoir.
Reservoirs are made to aid the people, not to harm them. What has been proven to us now is the irregular management of the reservoir.
The Daduru Oya reservoir is located about 50 kilometers away from Chilau in the Minuan Yate area. Construction work of the reservoir commenced in 2007 and it was declared open on the 22nd of November 2014. We inquired about the allegations made by the area residents, and the engineer in charge of the project, speaking to us on the 27th of March, said that the amount of water initially released by the reservoir in 2014 could have had an impact on this situation.
The same thing happened for the second time. They accepted their mistake, however. Water was released this time as well. They promised to give us houses and do everything for us only when they're asking for our votes. We are waiting till they come back asking for votes.
The people who foresaw this and lost their lands made another prediction today.
Before the floods, the banks of Daduru Oya were at the foot of the coconut tree you see over there. The banks have been damaged to this extent because the water was held for 3 days. I will say now that when a flood happens in December, we will lose all our land. So we kindly ask the authorities, pay attention to this and reconstruct the banks of Daduru Oya.
It has been revealed that 20 students from 2 schools have lost their lives as a result of the tragic landslide that took place in the Samasara mountain in the Aranayaka area.
Though the remains of a few of these children have been discovered, a majority are still considered to be missing.
The Aranayaka area, which was rattled by cries of despair just a few days ago, was soothed today by the chanting of Pirit. However, it did not ease the deep-seated sorrow people had in their hearts. The Hadgampura school was able to provide refuge to hundreds who were affected by the landslide. However, 15 students who were studying in this school were victims of the ruthless landslide. 8 of these students are still considered missing.
My uncle's son, daughter and my brother passed away. My good friend also passed away. I have no friends now. I am saddened by this.
A number of these wall decorations do not have owners. The Elangapitiya school, which is atop of the mountain that provided education to 17 students, was not damaged in the landslide. However, due to the debris, it has become uneasy to travel to the location. 5 students of the school are also considered to be either missing or dead. The mothers of these children lament their loss, while reminiscing the last words that were spoken by them.
This is my son and this is his best friend. Both of them are not there. We went to the shop. My son tried to come with us with a torch. I scolded him and tried to stop him. Eventually, I left him. Only my husband and I were saved.
After invoking blessings on those who passed away, the search and rescue operations that were carried out to locate the missing in the Samasara mountain were abandoned today. Even though the structures can be rebuilt, the memory of those who departed will always remain in the hearts of the people of Aranayaka.
Now, approximately 400,000 individuals were affected by the recent landslide and floods. The government announced that the loss incurred as a result amounts to around $1.5 billion.
Now, the challenge at hand is whether the aid and relief that was provided to the country both internationally and as well as locally will be taken use of correctly.
The international community granted relief and aid soon after disaster struck Sri Lanka. According to reports, America, Italy, Germany, Australia and a number of other countries came forward with aid and support. 2 weeks after the massive floods, it can be witnessed how the city of Colombo gets inundated following light showers. In this backdrop, the Irrigation Department has made plans to initiate a new mechanism to control flooding in the Kalani River in the future. The department states that the bunds that were constructed to protect the city of Colombo from floods in the colonial era should be refurbished to be suitable for present-day conditions. The North Bund has been constructed to protect the Kalaniya town. The South Bund has been constructed to protect the city of Colombo. The Godatua Bund has been constructed to protect the Srijawardhanapura area, while the Wattala Bund is in place to protect the Wattala area. The Department of Irrigation says that even though a number of areas in the Colombo city are being protected by the bund due to the expansion of the populace and due to human actions, these bunds needs to be refurbished. Attention should be drawn towards the collection of rainwater in lowlands, as controlling the flow of water in the Kalani River alone is not enough to control flooding. 6 pumping stations, including one at Pethiagoda, are also included in the plan, which will be used to direct rainwater to the Kalani River. Under the plan, the Sebastian pumping station that is not functioning at present will also be refurbished. There are 15 kilometers of bunds in the Kalani River. We will raise these bunds by around 5 to 6 feet in height and broaden them by around 20 feet to make it much stronger. The preliminary inspections are being carried out, and in about a month or so, we should most probably be able to prepare the complete report and estimates on this and immediately commence work on it. We have to commence this within the course of this year and go in for a speedy development plan. Communities have been built in an area of approximately 5,000 acres along the high-risk area of the banks of the Kalani River. Therefore, the area the water overflows has been limited. We may have to do certain things to bring relief to around 400,000 people, and we may have to relocate certain people as well. The process of relocating will be carried out in a broad and extensive manner. Suitable lands and homes will be provided. Some are of the opinion that floods cannot be controlled by merely raising the height of the bunds. The South Bund is situated in the wrong place. Back then they did not have the interest to protect the unwanted lands. So these bunds were brought to the Kolonava area. Then another bund was made, calling it the Godatua Bund. What happened through this was that a land area more than twice the size of Colombo remains unprotected, which means this has become a part of the river. The North Bund, which is at the upper ground of the Kalani River, remains as it is, but the South Bund has shifted further. So this section, which is the unprotected area, will flood every single time the Kalani River overflows. There is only one solution to this. The South Bund must be taken back to its original location. Even though special projects were implemented in the city of Colombo, it can be clearly seen that they were quite unsuccessful, taking into account the fact that the city of Colombo flooded following the recent inclement weather. The countries received massive financial assistance from overseas. If this money falls into the hands of favorites and various other groups and persons, and if these persons are allowed to initiate projects haphazardly, then you cannot prevent the city of Colombo from being inundated again. So an extensive research must be conducted, and after the conclusion of that research, the government must implement a proper plan together with all relevant stakeholders. The government should also obtain the assistance of the relevant specialists.
ක්‍රියාත්මක කළ යුතුයි.
Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology forecast showers or thunder showers in the western, northwestern, southern, central and Sabaragama provinces. It also adds that showers may occur in the Mana district too. Several villages located in lowlands were inundated following the rising water levels of the King River. The level of water indicated on the gauge in the river was 3.95 meters. This is considered as a minor flood level. The Ministry of Provincial Councils and Local Government today announced that 2,500 tons of garbage that was mounting in the Colombo Divisional Secretariat was removed as of this evening. Over 500 vehicles owned by local government bodies from across the island have been called in for this purpose. Garbage disposed from over 35,000 houses in 38 jurisdictions in Colombo will be removed.
Minister of Finance Ravi Karnanayaka says that the government will bring forth a new economic plan before the people in the next 2 weeks. The Finance Minister made this statement while speaking to Newsline today.
When will the people be able to loosen their belts?
No, there is no need for the people to tighten their belts any further. My belief is that the people will see the benefits of this in the next 6 to 8 months. The country's economy will be strengthened and the financial foundation will be laid. We will create methods of generating income for the people, bringing investment to the country. Whatever was closed will be reopened. The unnecessary rules and regulations will be waived off. Through this, we intend on ensuring healthy and happy lifestyles for the people.
Do you and the government have a policy, plan or framework to recover from the situation?
ඒක තව සුමාන දෙකකින් අපේ ජනාධිපති අගමැති දෙපළම එකතු වෙලා ප්‍රකාශ කරන රටට.
Yes, we do, and we can. In the next 2 weeks, both the President and Prime Minister will get together and present our vision and plan for the future. This is what we have been doing right along. We haven't just been sitting around. We are doing this quite intentionally, directly and fearlessly for the sole purpose of saving every cent for the people. We have to prevent this money from flowing towards other directions.
Addressing a conference titled Debt, Tax Burden and the Crumbling Economy in Walasmula yesterday, leader of the JVP Anurakumara Disanayaka expressed the following views. Every government has something called foreign reserves. This means that governments do not release all of its dollars in their possession. This is how they showcase their economic might to the world. But now what's happening? They're asking for too much. The amount of dollars entering the country has reduced. This results in the central bank releasing the dollars they have in their reserves. Over the course of the past 5 months, the central bank has released a total of $15 billion. Remember, if we stop exposing our reserves, the dollar will rise to 180 to 200 rupees. Taxes were imposed on vehicles for a specific reason. The revenue we earn through exports is insufficient to cover the import expenses. That is why various barriers are placed to hinder the importation of vehicles. Keep in mind that if this crisis continues, this country will fall apart.
Addressing an event held in Kurunegala yesterday, Minister of Housing and Construction Sajith Premadasa elaborated on the government's economic plan.
The government led by the Prime Minister is initiating a populist economic plan. This major economic plan, which comprises of a 5-year, long-term and mid-term plan, will be brought into action within the next few months under the leadership of the Prime Minister. So as a country, do we earn a day's living and throw all the tax burdens upon the future generations of our country by providing petty concessions for 3 to 4 years? Or are we to rectify? This is the question that the good governance government is tackling. Minister Sajith Premadasa handed out Samanta Sevana Visiri loans and Sampath Sevana loans in Kurunegala today. A total of 38 million rupees was donated to 550 families in the Kurunegala district in the form of loans.
Leader of the National Freedom Front, Vimal Veeravansa, expressed his views on the governor of the central bank during a media briefing convened today.
I have the credit card statement of the central bank governor. This credit card was issued by the central bank. The governor has been using this card for his personal expenses for less than a year, and he has already spent 14.5 million rupees of the central bank funds. His predecessors have never spent such an amount, especially in such a short span of time. His tenure ends on the 30th of this month, and the government has now decided if they will retain his services. For the first time in history, the central bank has directly placed under the care of the Prime Minister. Why did this happen? It was so that the Prime Minister could place his close confidence in the seat of power and allow him to live comfortably. It was also to ensure that the company owned by the son-in-law of the governor received an unfair advantage. Please do not appoint this person once more.
Meanwhile, the Consumer Affairs Authority has permitted companies selling cement in the Sri Lankan market to increase the price of a 50-kilogram cement pack by ₹60. The price revision came into effect from yesterday.
Cement is a commodity that was subject to a government-controlled price, and in order to increase the price, permission needs to be sought from the Consumer Affairs Authority. The decision has been made after a request in this regard was forwarded to the CAA by the cement companies. The CAA announced that 5 cement companies were granted permission to increase the price of a 50 kilogram of cement bag by ₹60, taking into account the VAT revision, harbour charges and the change in the exchange rates. The price of a 50 kilogram bag of cement, which was sold at a maximum price of ₹870, will now be sold at ₹930. The CAA said that the price revision will be for cement packs with a manufacture date after the 1st of June. Cement manufactured before the 1st of June will be sold at the previous price.
Dr. Harsha De Silva, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
The European Union has officially agreed to grant us the GSP Plus concession. We will submit the application in the coming days. It is with responsibility that I say that through the President's official visit, we were able to expedite the process of getting the GSP Plus concession. As technology will be used more in the development process in the future, the government hopes to reduce the tax on telecommunication services that was increased earlier.
Journalists question the reduction of taxes imposed on telecommunication services.
As technology will be used more in the development process in the future, the government hopes to reduce the tax on telecommunication services that was increased earlier.
When your government was elected, it was said that a system where everyone will be able to purchase vehicles will be introduced. However, the price of a three-wheeler has increased to that of a car.
The finance minister has presented 2 facts. At one time, he spoke of the traffic congestion. He had noted that the number of vehicles on the streets must be reduced so that the congestion will also reduce. He also noted that the foreign reserves need to be protected.
The price of a 50 kilogram pack of cement was increased by ₹60 from yesterday. Are the prices of essential goods increasing because of the corruption of the previous administration?
Take a look at this intellectually. The revenue that we generate is not enough to pay off the debt and the interest in installments. We are doing this amidst these difficulties.
Isn't the government of good governance violating one of their fundamental policies by burdening the public with taxes?
Are you aware of the revenue generated by taxes? There is tax and non-tax revenue. If we are to reduce taxes, we must restrict the expenses. The better way is to increase the non-tax revenue. If our exports and direct investments increase, we will not have a need to take such loans. As a result, we can provide concessions to the public.
How long will it take to provide relief to the public?
In 60 months, a new country. Thank you. Since 2008, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation did not do business with bunker tanks. We have decided to recommence those enterprises. We have imported fuel. We have given a permit to re-export petroleum as well. There are more requests and we will facilitate them.
The Left Centre convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
Wajira Abewardene is one who was caught up in this movement. He is not a person who actively participated in this movement. He was continuously rejected by the people. What is such a person doing now? What has he intervened in now and what has transpired? If persons are engaged in their usual political ways without having any understanding, then that is a serious issue. We urge the government to take a firm stance on such ministers. The President and Prime Minister must make that decision. Wasn't Minister Vajra Abewardena aware of the situation when Anusha Palpita was appointed? It is after the appointment that the Public Service Commission says that the situation is such and that punishment will be meted out. Why do we see this as a planned move? We all know of Damayanti Jayaratne, who was linked to the issues surrounding Avantgarde. She was the coordinator from the government side in the Avantgarde fraud. Damayanti Jayaratne was also appointed to the Ministry of Vajra Abewardena. After the appointment, she fled the country. She is missing and no one speaks of her. So was there an attempt to do the same with Anusha Palpita? The launch of the Norway Business Association of Sri Lanka took place last evening. A memorandum of understanding was also signed prior to the launch by visiting Norwegian Deputy Foreign Minister To Hatram and Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Harsh De Silva.
The new Sri Lanka is a fantastic place. Whether you are in Colombo or in Jaffna, there is immense potential for the business communities of both countries to leverage on. We are at the government level talking to Norway about the regulatory aspects of the oil and gas industry. We're looking at aquaculture and also offshore fish farming. This is an issue that we are facing with our neighbor in the north in terms of fishing, so perhaps we can use some of that technology. I heard that there was a 30% increase in Norwegian tourists in Sri Lanka. We need to increase it. This country is perhaps the most peaceful place on earth now. And with all the recreational activities, more tourists should think about coming to Sri Lanka.
My government is convinced that enhanced commercial cooperation between our countries is in our mutual interest. And I'm pleased to note that Sri Lanka sees the great potential and importance of commerce and industry, and that Sri Lanka has successfully made the transition from a low-income to a middle-income country. The future for your country, as I see it, lies in the modernization of the economic sector and opening up for foreign investments. It is my conviction that Sri Lanka can and will play an important role in the global value chain. A nation could hardly be more strategically placed geographically than you are.
Singapore currently leads in the points table of the Asian and Oceanian Optimist Championship 2016, which is taking place off the Upper Valley coast in Trincomalee. Sport First is the media sponsor for the event.
Taking part in this competition have been divided into two fleets based on their achievements during the first 3 days of the competition. Now these sailors will compete in those two fleets tomorrow and the days that are to come.
112 competitors from 13 countries are taking part in the championship. The team events will take place tomorrow and on Saturday. Singapore is leading the battle for gold, while Sri Lanka is battling it out for silver in the championship. Several international competitors expressed their views to Sports First.
Well, that's a wrap of primetime news here at News First. With the News First team, I'm Florine Rajendran.
And I'm Joel Outskun. Take care and good night.